Thank you. That was beautiful. So this part of our program, we are all going to get up here and tell our favorite Jon Jack stories. I will start. I've got several, but I won't bore you with too many of them. Some of you know, some of you don't. John and I met in Panama City Beach, Florida. He came over from New Zealand to set up, oh, we never did move that easel, bungee jump sites. And I jumped off his bungee jump site. And so one could say I literally fell for him. Now, John was crazy. If you looked at the easel and the collage, I'm dangling from my ankles, so he's supposed to lower me down by my arms, and this crazy bugger grabs me by my waist, draws me in, my crotch is like right in his face. I'm laughing off to the side, and, well, it was love at first sight. You know? So John landed in Texas for some reason. I don't know why they landed in Texas, but they said, well, we're going to drive the rest of the way. And John was like, I looked at a map. You ain't driving to the Panama Canal. John thought he was going to the Panama Canal. He didn't even know he was going to Florida. He was all stoked, you know, Panama Canal, you know. But we had the bagpipes. John is a full-blooded Scotsman, first-generation Kiwi, and a lot of you have a hard time understanding him, and it's a mixed kind of brogue going on there. But when we moved from the States to New Zealand, I thought, fantastic, I don't have to translate anymore. Nobody fucking understood him in New Zealand either. They just didn't do it, you know. So now this story my sister wanted me to tell for the family and for my sister and my nephews and whatnot. We went on a cruise many years ago for my parents' 50th wedding anniversary. And I had a teddy bear that I always slept with. I had him in New Zealand, and I worked nights and John worked days, so a lot of our communication went through Teddy. And, you know, like I came home one day, the 4th of July, Teddy was holding an American flag, you know. But Teddy had a habit of eating on John's side of the bed and getting crumbs over there. And also, sometimes Teddy didn't like to make the bed. He wouldn't get out, so I could make it. So Teddy was on John's shit list, and Teddy came on the cruise. And he also came with this little penguin. I don't know how come the penguin came along, but the penguin was there too. So one night at dinner, we all got smashed, and I, of course, went to bed, because that's what I do after I eat and I get drunk. And my nephew and niece come running into the room, and they're like, where's Jon Jack? Where's Jon Jack? And I go, I don't know. They said, we think he's in the brig. I go, what do you mean you think he's in the brig? They go, well, after we kidnapped Teddy. I go, you kidnapped Teddy? And so apparently, John had kidnapped Teddy. He was going to make him pay for all his sins. And he attached a little penguin to his back, blindfolded him, had a cigarette in his mouth, had a dinner plate there, and gave him his last supper and was hoisting him up the flagpole when the captain came along. And they all ran. And the last thing they heard was John saying, got a camera, mate. Well, my family had so much pleasure with this story, and the next day I called Lost and Found, and they said, what did you lose? I said, a teddy and a penguin, and they wouldn't announce it over the loudspeaker. But about a year later, I did get a card from them. They were on the islands drinking pina coladas together, and they were safe and sound, so I got a card in the mail from them. So the teddy and the penguin were fine. And that's the end of my stories for now. Anybody else? Who's next? Who told a good story to me? Everybody. Yeah, you told a good story. Get over here. I forget your name. I'm sorry. Joe, this is Joe. John worked with Joe.
Hi, my name is Joe Silva. I'm a BA pipe fitter, and 2013 I met Jon Jack. I was a new supervisor, and we were on a ship over there doing some rip out, and I just signed Jack some work, and I came back later, and he was up working real hard. He was sweating and had all this stuff all over the place. And I said, "Hey, Jack, you gotta take it easy a little bit, all right? Just don't go too much here." So about 20 minutes later, I come back and Jack's in a chair and he's got his head back and he's got his eyes closed. And I go, "Hey, Jack, you can't be sleeping, Jack." And he goes, "Make up your fucking mind, mate. You want me to work or you want me to take it easy?" And so, you know, ever since then, Jack always kept me guessing on what's going to happen, and he really made my day a lot of times because he's a hard worker and he knew how to take it easy too, though. So it was kind of fun. Thank you.
Good story, Joe. All right, I'll give it a shot. Test. Okay. Hey, first of all, how about a big shout out to Shirley, George, and Alex
for getting this all together. I think it's pretty awesome. You guys did a tremendous job. My story is, in the catering industry, we all work for Doyle Catering. Those of us who are here know Dennis and Gerald, and they'll be here shortly. But one of the funniest times was at the Christmas parties, and we'd wait for Mary and John to show up, and at Dennis's backyard, and he came out this one time, and it was like, whoa! There was a little shrimp station, and John put this gigantic pair of underwear that stretched for like a mile, it seemed like. And he goes, "Here, Dennis, happy Merry Christmas." And it had food stains on it, and we all got to sign it, and it was hilarious. That's one of the things I'll miss about John. He had a tremendous sense of humor, great heart, and he worked hard. And I mean, we'd be at parties, and Shirley knows, we'd be sitting there putting together sliders. And John goes, "Dave, don't stress, don't stress." I go, "Well, I'm not stressing." He goes, "Well, good, don't stress. Here, have a little bit of this bubbly." And he'd pull this thing up, and I go, "What the fuck is this, John?" He goes, "Oh, you'll like it." And it, it took the stress out, because you want to get the food out and make sure everybody ate it, which they did. But anyway, he's going to be truly missed. Great guy. Thanks. There's Kim.
My husband did. I had to drive the boys, actually John drove Dave and I down from the catering business down Voltaire, down Evers to Coronado, and I was hanging on for dear life. And I said, "Dave, you really drive with this man the way he drives? Are you kidding me?" And I mean, I thought he hit every parked car going down Voltaire. I was a mess. That was my only time I ever drove with Jon Jack.
Hi. Well, listen. So yeah, John was definitely someone you probably never meet anybody like John. Another time. We look forward to his arrival after I met Mary, and then he joined our the catering outfit we were working with, and he was just able to find ways to fix things that were beyond us, really. And we eventually we said, well, heck, this guy can cook, and so he was full-blooded cook out of the blue, and with us through this. But he had an imagination. He'd come by the house and always pick up a pencil and paper and leave some kind of art behind, and they're usually very interesting. In any event, he had a curious mind. We'd watch history, and he was. I think he had a grasp of, the importance of the now, and his disappearance, very suddenly to me, really just makes me aware. Makes you wonder. What are we really doing out here? So, in terms of the story, it's just that I feel like I was lucky to know him. And that's what I have to say for you, Johnny. Thank you.
Hi, I've known Mary for a very, very long time, and I've loved her forever. And then she brought Jon Jack around, and I loved him forever. I had the pleasure of working with him on boats in San Diego, I think it's before catering, before he did catering. But he's worked on boats with me off and on for about 10 years, and he had this way of fixing everything, like George said. He was just really awesome, and he learned how to turn a screwdriver. He really did. He really did. And cooking, I don't know where that came from, but that's true. My best Jon Jack story, he used to call me up, and he was doing woodworking projects, and I'm a woodworker, and he'd ask me questions like, oh, what kind of finish should I put on this? Should I use a two-part, or, you know? And he called me up one day, and he said, hey, Di, how do you paint a white duck black? You know, I can understand him. I could really, you know, for the most part. I said, say that again. How do I paint a white duck black? Why would you want to paint a white duck black, Jack? And he says, because it says half black. So the duck says half black. I said, I don't know what you're talking about, because I didn't think I understood him at that point. And he says, no, the duck. You squeeze the duck. It's a little stuffy. And you squeeze the duck, and when you squeeze it, it says half black. I said, oh, John, that's Aflac. So, then a few months later, you know, he really did paint that duck. And a few months later, I saw the duck. And he painted the duck all black. I didn't question it. I didn't question it. He's a great man and a very, very good friend, and he'll be very missed forever.
Okay, so I don't speak at anybody's, not even my mother's. I just want to say that Jon Jack was bigger than life, kindest person I've ever met, had a great sense of humor. I could never understand a fucking thing he said. But I just loved him. And we are all truly blessed to know him.
I don't. So I don't have a story I was going to sing, but maybe next time. But I hear people talk about John, and you know, sometimes you go to these things and you hear people say all the nice stuff about a guy or a girl, and you think, yeah, sure, you know, everybody says that. But about John, it's all true. You know, I worked with him for like about 4 years. The only thing I remember about John is we talked about it, other people talked about it, how hard he was to understand. I tell people, I said, you know, where I work, there's a lot of diversity. I have Koreans and Vietnamese and Mexicans and Kenyans and on and on. And the hardest one to understand was John. and that's a fact. And sometimes we have our big department meetings, and I'd have about 100 people there, maybe 120, give or take 20. And every once in a while, John would ask a question. As soon as I see him ask a question, I thought, oh, crap. Because I'm not going to be able to understand it, and I want to give somebody an answer. You know, and so I tried to give him a generic answer, and hopefully it would make him go away, because I couldn't understand exactly what he was asking me. You know, if I was standing looking and reading his lips, maybe I could do it. But so that's what I always remember about him. I mean, you know, we put him on light duty, and we sent him up to our admin, what they call our program group. So he was doing admin duties. And I don't see any of the girls here, but I'll tell you, he was only up there for about 5 months, and they were pretty broken up when he passed. So he's a good dude.
They were happy to see Jack every day.
They were. They have nothing but good stories about him, and they said he never complained. He always did what, you know, always helped, and didn't surprise me. And I'd see him almost every day when I go up there, and I'd say hi to him. But those girls were really broken up over it, and he affected them. And he was only with them for about 4 or 5 months. So cheers, mate, to Jon Jack.
Hi, I'm Ross. I work with Dale and John down at the shipyard. Just a thought over the last week or so when I've been getting ready to come to this, and then you're all going to agree with me. I tell somebody, I'd meet somebody, hey, Jon Jack's Festival of Life is coming up. I'm going to go to that. And they'd say, Jon Jack, and they were waiting for me to give a hint of, usually talk about somebody that they slightly know, you know, okay, he's the one that did that. But as we all know, with Jon Jack, if you knew Jon Jack, you knew Jon Jack. There was no question about it. It's period. If you knew him, you knew him. You didn't, you didn't.
So, first of all, thanks for inviting me to be here. I'm new to San Diego. I'm new to BAE, and I didn't know Jon Jack very long, but I think I knew him really, really well in a really brief moment. And I'm not sure what I'm going to say here, but I want to, from the heart, tell you about me and Jon Jack. So we were both born in April, a year apart in a couple of days. And so we have a birthday party in our yard every month. And so I officiate all those birthday parties. And I greet everybody at the door and tell them, hey, thanks for being here. Good morning, come on in, let's have breakfast, and happy flippin' birthday. And so I greet them as we're coming in. And so about 10 minutes to 6 that morning, the stream comes in, and I say hello to everybody, and I get this incomprehensible dialogue between me and Jon Jack, who I recognized and knew his name, and he, hey, good day, man, you know, I'm like, hey, you know, blah, blah, back and forth. It was just hysterical, and I was like, I know what he's saying. I wish I could speak Kiwi. Anyway, it was great. It was really just this big smile. It's early in the morning. It's a brand new day. We're birthday buddies, and it was just cool as hell. And so he was towards the end of the line, and everybody streams in, and if you're familiar with the layout, so you go in and grab some food and go sit down. And so a minute or two later, someone said, hey, there's a thing going on here. Can you come help? So I go in and call 911, go get the EMTs, and I start doing CPR. And as flipped him over, gave him a big kiss on the lips as I watched his chest go up. As you know, if CPR, you cock the head back, whip my shirt off, so there's this skinny old white guy with no shirt on, and anyway. So I give him this cup, you know, I give him the breath, and I watch his chest go up, and then commence to, with my skinny little old man arms, trying to bring him back to life. And the whole time, he's got this most peaceful, serene, calm, beautiful look on his face, saying, thanks for trying. It's probably not going to work out, but God bless you. And it's the most, I tell you, it was, as I said, the most peaceful, calm, beautiful look, saying, keep going if you want, but I'm okay. I'm okay. And as we talked, you guys had a great morning on the way to work. I mean, if I could tell you one gift that Jon gave me, first of all, was that look on his face. It was just beautiful. So as I think about my memories of that day, he gave me three gifts. And clearly, listening to you all, the first gift which resonated to me was have skills. I've been doing CPR since I was 11 years old. And sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. I get requalified every 2 years. I got a couple other EMT kind of skills. I keep them sharp. Clearly, Jon has lots of skills, and he kept them sharp. Have skills and keep them sharp was my first gift from Jon. Second gift was be ready to go. I'm not ready to go, but I've got things I now, from Jon, it got me my attention. I'm going to make sure that I've got my life in order, so if that day and that moment comes, I'm ready to go. And the third and most important gift Jon gave me, the third and most important gift Jon shared with me from the heart, was be prepared for every conversation you have with anybody, stranger, loved one, to be the last time you'll get a chance to say, thank you. I'm sorry. I love you. Forgive me. Be prepared for that. Every conversation you have to be the last time you have the chance to say, to be real and tell them how you're feeling. So, thank you again, Mary, for letting me be here. God bless you, and God bless you, and thank you, John.
Two canes, no way. First, I think we're all so morbid about death, you know, in our Puritan society. In the Marshall Islands, they party for 3 days when someone dies. Day and night, 3 days. Really celebrate this person's passing. But anyway, I watched my good friend David and Jon Jack do back-to-back backgammon marathons all night. Well, I don't know how many thousand games they played. But anyway, if you want to understand, if you try to understand, if you lower your shields and you actually really want to understand someone, you can. My grandma was McPherson and my name is Lawrence Craig, and they're both very good Scots names, you know. So you just gotta try and understand. But he was a good guy. I can't really, I read better than I talk, let's see. This is sort of personal, but David, I'm truly sorry for the loss of another good man and a great friend of yours. He is sorely missed by many, but especially, I think, by you. I know it lays heavy on your heart, and it must be hard to think about celebrating today. I can just hear him saying, "Cheers, mate," as he hands me an ice beer from the bottomless black plastic bag.
Hello. I wasn't gonna say anything, but I just decided I would. I didn't know Jon Jack too well at all. We worked together at work, and I remember during our lunch times we would be in the same smoking area, and you know, eat lunch together and make small talk. And I didn't even know him too well to know he was a good guy. I remember one time I was smoking a cigarette, and seen something fly over my head. I think he was trying to make a shot for the trash can and missed, or I was trying to feed the birds or something. I turned around and he tried to do one of the playoffs. But that's when I knew exactly what type of guy he was. He was a good guy. I didn't need to know him well, but I read him well, and I knew where his heart was. And, you know, we weren't really close, but I knew right away he was a good guy. Thank you.
All right, one more. Shirley, you're up next, right?
Shirley? Squirrely, you're up next. Anyway, there is one story I wanted to do tell. Yeah, that's good English. Yeah. I think in about a month, Del Mar racing season starts again. Richard? Where's Richard? There you are. Okay. Anyway, we we went out the racetrack, Dennis and Geraldine and I don't know, it was years ago, and we were looking through the program, and there was this horse called Big Jon Jack. I'm serious. Big Jon Jack. And I looked at them and I said, well, let's throw some money down this horse. And he goes, yeah, this horse does look pretty good. It, you know, it seems to run with the greed and blah, 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 and all that shit. But anyway, turns out the horse won, and we told John about it, and he goes, well, I'll bet some more money on it, goddammit, next time it runs. And so it ran again, and we did, and it came in second this time, but it was just, I don't know, it was just crazy. I was just thinking about this. That's it.
No, I don't need a stick. Hello, my name is Bonnie. I met Jon Jack through David, and I know he's a hell of a backgammon player. And one day he said to me, because he knew I had a son that was struggling from heroin, and he said, Bonnie, you won't do the wrong thing by doing the right thing. And said some other things, and to this day my son is still alive because of the kindness and the sensitivity and the character that he was. I just wanted to share.
Thank you.
There you go. There you go. Yeah. And of course, like Jack, he didn't put it in the right basket.
Well, excuse me. All I can say is, man, the guy was something special. He was, I mean, first time I met the guy, he was drawing a little picture. He had the big eyes. I was like, damn, I fit right in with this guy. It was hilarious. You know, we met a few times. The guy had the hugest heart. It's like, remember when he just like would help me out of the blue. I was like, yeah, you don't mind helping me out, do you? Like, don't even have to ask. You know, the guy was just so solid. It's like, I wish I was that kind of guy. It's like, you don't even know where, how do you get that? Where does it come from? It's like, he had that something special that was different than anybody here. Because he was just a fucking wild man. You know, in his own little way. You know, he was smart, he was intelligent. He was, you know, he knew what he was doing, I guess, you know. But the last time I saw him at the laundromat, I see him, I'm like, John, what's up, man? It's like, dude, what's going on? I'm like, let's go, you know, whatever. And I'm like, so what have you been up to, man? He's like, oh, I just got out of the hospital. I'm like, what the fuck, really? And that was it, man. That was the last time I saw him. And I was like, my friend George is like, fucking John passed away. And I was like, oh, man. Because you just don't understand what it means to talk to somebody for the last time and not realize that that's going to be that for the, you know, that's the way it is. So it was, you know, I took it kind of hard because I knew how awesome the dude was, man. It's like, fuck. It's like, holy shit. It's like, yeah. And so I want to memorialize the thoughts that we have here of him today, you know, because he deserved it, man. He just,
you can't even put a label on the reality that he would bring to the table like every second, and you're like, oh yeah, no shit. You know, it's just that Scottish crazy Scots stuff. It was just unreal. Like, oh, bare hand, like, oh shit, yeah. You know, and it's like, and he was just the kind of guy that would give you a shirt off his back, give you a ride, and he always said positive about things. I never heard that guy ever say anything that was like, you know, like normal, like, God, life sucks sometimes, you know. He just kept on just like living it, man, every second. And so here's to Jon, everybody. Thanks for showing up. Sorry for your loss, dear.
You were talking about the birthday party at your work for Johnny and everybody. The day before that, I was over at his house, and he says, "Do you have an iron?" And I says, "Well, yeah, I got an iron." And he goes, "Because I wanted to crease my pants up so I could go to my birthday party looking all good and everything." So that was really special. So I ran home and got him an iron because he needed an iron. So yeah. And another thing I remember about Johnny was when he first started catering, he was throwing out the trash because nobody else could pick up the trash. They wouldn't pick it. I mean, they would fill it all up. It was really heavy. So he'd take it outside, throw it out. And somebody had thrown a bottle or some kind of glass in there, and he ripped his arm all the way. Really needed stitches. And I'm going, "Oh, Johnny, let me go get some bandage or something." He goes, "No, mate, all I need is like a needle and a thread." And he just sat there. He did. He sat there and he sewed himself up. And he said, "Here, come tie me off," you know. And there's so many memories. I'm just really sad about it also.
Thank you. Yeah, he'd get hurt at work and come in with his own homemade stitches. One of you had mentioned Jon drawing things. Well, on his breaks and stuff, he'd sit there with his hard hat and he'd a little piece of duck seal, which is like clay. It's for stop leaks and stuff. And he would sit there and make little elephant faces and stick them on his hard hat. The next day, you'd look and be a dick sitting there. He was always making all these little intricate, real small. Look, mate. It was just always humorous, always a joy to see what was coming out next out of that hard hat.
I was Jack's supervisor then too, and they said, "Hey, Jon's got a dick on his head. You guys better go take care of it." I says, "I don't know what I'm going to do this time," but I stayed away. I let him do it for a couple of days, and I don't know. One thing about Jon Jack is that, like today, I never told anybody I was coming here, and people are looking for me at home and stuff. And all I got to do is say I was with Jon. I was at Jon Jack, or I was with Jon Jack, and that was it. Everybody understood. You know, it was something special. So, I mean, like I said, he always kept me guessing, and I was really glad to be able to spend some time with him. And he taught me a lot about being a supervisor and how to manage people. And out of all the people I had, I always focused on Jon Jack and how to keep him busy, and he kept me busy too. So I'm just real happy that I got a chance to meet him, and I appreciate you guys being here. Thank you.
Well, I just want to thank everybody for coming. Those were fantastic stories. I mean, it had me laughing but good, and he is every bit of what everybody said. He was a fantastic guy, and he's going to be missed. Thanks for coming out.